Listen. So Sony set up real escape rooms in order to trap people into watching their new movie. That's a sequel to their 2019 hit that I personally had a bit of fun with. You know, story-wise, it is definitely a goofy rented, but like the title states, these flicks are all about the rooms and the production design from Ed Thomas that really makes the movie and are the standout.
The sets are kind of characters themselves.
And are actually better than the characters themselves. Let me explain. Now, in case you haven't seen it, a full spoiler warning for the second, and that even includes the trailers that legit spoil the whole movie that they're trying to sell, as well as the first, since this new one begins with an LME of the previous, as it pulls a Rocky and recaps everything you need to know in the intro in under 2 minutes, so, you know, it's a nice little 2-for-1. Pretty much, there's this company out there duping people into playing these extreme escape games that they then broadcast like Nerve for their richest clients who've binged everything on streaming and instead want to see 6 players frantically solve around 6 rooms in order to escape death.
You know, each of these rooms represents the psychological machinations and the trauma of each character.
It's all run by the Minos Company, that's named after the Greek god who sent boys and girls into a labyrinth to get eaten up, and these rich people get a Fight Club high of seeing civilians struggle to survive.
In a weird way, we hope that they achieve some weird catharsis by going into the gauntlet. It's a weird therapy session at the end of the day. You know, by facing death again, you learn to live again.
You know, until they jigsaw you into their next perilous puzzle. In fact, for our entertainment, the actors themselves had to survive as they trained for their own jump stunts. You know, they were freezing in the cold, they were dunked in tanks.
And the fog was basically like a giant fishbowl where we're breathing in this horrible atmospheric crap for days on end, but it looked amazing.
Legit, these rooms are so tight, not even the cameraman could get out of the frame. But after covering all of the elements in the first one, they had to up the stakes for this one, and, well, they couldn't escape sequelitis. Like Spiral, this one begins with a random dude on the street robbing one of our 2 survivors from the first, only to lead them into the subway set. But what sucks is that after the first one, Ben had sobered up. You know, homie was managing a dog shop up in Logan Square. He had finally shaved, but poor boy can't escape Zoe's plans to get back at this company. So of course, she takes all her conspiracies and ends up on the Q train.
So that makes this what? Tournament of Champions?
What's interesting is that in my screening, they had Ben say the line, so I don't know if each showing has a different person on the squad saying it, but hey.
So what is this? Like a Tournament of Champions?
Zoe gives them the 101 on what's happening as she pulls out her phone to get footage, because like the first one, Minos just doesn't care to check, but Sony definitely wants you to check out
Xperia Z.
The first room takes place in the train that's rigged to shock them with more electro than Amazing Spider-Man 2, as we meet the new players, a priest, an influencer, an EMT, and a boxer. This was the level that they were advertising the movie with, as they used the misspellings on the advertisements to get out, but our first dude, who doesn't even get a name until the credits, is the first to go as he dies fast and furiously.
Welcome to Illuminous Bank.
The next level is a bank, which feels like an impossible mission to solve until the priest decides to walk by faith in order to figure out the righteous path to get out. And there's also a clue hidden in the literal blood money that they find that'll come to play later. But legit, this was the best room in my opinion because the tension was high, the clock was ticking, it had my Apple Watch going off due to my heart rate. Like there's a moment where Rachel, the EMT, gets this close to the lasers and I straight up thought she was gonna get waffled. Now, like I said, in the first movie, they went all out with their sets, even importing trees for the lake scene. And for the beach scene here, they brought in more sand than Anakin can handle.
You know, it was all practical. We had 22,000 pounds of sand, you know. You're aerating the sand so that people can sink. You know, actors are getting sand in their eyes, scratching their corneas.
They look for clues through this Polaroid camera that filters everything into looking like a Tyler music video, as the mannequin from the first movie appears again with the key seashells by the seashore to let them ransack through the crab shack. That said, this was the coarsest level as they leave the priest and Ben to get Indiana Jones by the quicksand after both dudes went out of their way to save them, and all because Zoe wanted to exit through the lighthouse.
We made it! We're still in the game.
The next level was completely booty cheeks.
I hate this room so much.
It's an In the Heights escape room where they need to hide inside the bodega in order to avoid the acid rain, but it makes no sense whatsoever. For starters, they reveal that Rachel's character can't feel pain, so she's like a cheat code that can just do crazy things and grab whatever. But honestly, she might even be a robot, considering that in the previous level, they put a metal detector to her face and it went off. But it's the character of Brianna, who was separated from them in the last level. And so she got hit with the rain first here, and I don't even know where she was hiding or how the taxi didn't melt the first time around, but like, she also starts wiping things in this room, like she's made out of Rain-X, and I'm a sucker for these movies, but sometimes the logic really does escape them. They end up collecting acid to unlock the lock that was already getting acid rained on, as Zoe moves on to the next level, leaving Rachel and Brianna to die in the rain, even though the ending of the last one claimed it wanted to make these rooms a fair game.
Well, it's not a game that she doesn't stand any chance.
Zoe survives and ends up in the first final room, pitched as Sonia's diary, where Amanda from the first returns like Han, cause
no one's ever really gone.
turns out that Minos forces players to build puzzles for them, and so they faked Amanda's death in the first movie, kidnapped her daughter in order for her to create the rooms for the sequel, all based on the memories that she had with her own daughter. Pretty twisted, a little overboard, but it starts getting into the themes of what this big corporation represents, that it's just these rich people running the world and creating a cycle of pain that they don't just profit from, but also entertains them, Hunger Games style.
The game is designed so they always win.
They're pretty much pushing that the whole world is an escape room, you know? As strangers with different backgrounds have to work together in order to survive. And since the first one, they have been dropping quotes about not just observing a system if you want to change it. In the train scene here, one of the clues comes from an ad that reads, "Don't become a statistic."
We're a statistical improbability.
Because obviously the rich are ruling everything. And like the bank towel says, money makes the world turn. Don't let it stop or else it all ends.
And I've been reading about these self-driving cars. You know, and I heard that the trucking industry is going to be the first one to get automated, so I'm trying to just squirrel away a few nuts before the robots come to get me.
Honestly, they're building up this corporation to be their Illuminati, hence the bank name, as it not only controls escape rooms, but like the news, the cops, and honestly free will.
The idea that there are the Illuminati out there, I like the idea that Minos, not only do they do death rooms, but they start plagues and they topple governments and they create plane crashes, and anything that they can do and bet on and have entertainment, they will.
Including using the cliche, if you didn't see it, it didn't happen, in order to bring characters back.
No face, no case.
They end up in a police station that is clearly the final room, as the camera has the same red dot as the ones we've seen broadcasting prior, and just like the first left anagrams as clues, here it's on the name tag for Special Agent Freddie Will, which obviously is Free Will, who mentions his colleagues up in Chicago. That's how they end up on their final destination, that ends up being a plane, which is exactly what Minos wanted to manifest.
Try doing one thing that scares you over break, okay?
Just like her teacher convinced her in the first to explore new things, her therapist in the beginning of this one manipulated her into getting on this plane to overcome the trauma of her parents' past, even giving her the clues for this movie's escape rooms. The book was titled Free Will, How to Stop the Train of Negative Thinking. I saw the purse and the pen as representing the bank in Sonia's diary. The painting behind her, as well as the ad on the train, were both of a beach, as well as this advertisement that reads, "Don't get caught in the rain, call a cab." And so faking Minos' demise on the news leads her to finally get on the plane so that they can tease us once again with the flight plan that we'll see in the next sequel. Or the next sequel, you know what? Just watch Wild Tales, because that's the best version of this. Thank you guys for watching this video. I'm curious to know your thoughts down below in the comment section on the sequel, really escape rooms in general. You know, do you like doing it with a group, or would you rather fly solo so that random Tanner and Kyles don't touch everything and mess it up? Or are you one of those who would destroy everything because you never know when it's Minos or not, you know? I'm curious to see what other deleted scenes they may have for this one, because I know in the first, they had rearranged a couple of stuff, and there was a whole literal beginning soccer team that came and did the actual lobby scene, and that completely got cut out. I'm curious to see, you know, because there are multiple rooms that are happening simultaneously. If they take this internationally, what else they're going to be able to build up upon. But I know in terms of the Easter eggs, 0526 continued to pop up, and in further research, it turns out that's just the director's birthday, and he did the last Insidious, and I think he's also doing the upcoming one, so a lot more horror coming from this guy. But one of the last things that I would note from this movie is if you stay through the credits, one of the funniest things, I noticed it in the second when I went back, it's still in the first as well, is that they filmed these in South Africa. And I love how they state that they obviously don't take any liability for the content, but they don't even support it. One of the funniest crazy credits that I've seen, just wanted to point that out. But I'm curious to see what you guys think of these movies. I think they've been nice little popcorn fun movies. Second one, not as good as the first one, but I'm sure that they're going to expand this to be something that's bigger than escape rooms. You know, I'm sure Illumis, the bank, is going to be something that's even bigger, and it's going to be controlling more things. But I'm curious to hear your theories, your thoughts, anything else dealing with these movies or other ones. And until next time, don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe, and you'll escape the room you're in right now.